Hello everyone. We're back with another banger this time, with a $500 PC build that you can never dream to replicate. This is a real challenge to everyone watching. I will send you a free mechanical keyboard if you can legitimately build a better PC for the same budget and give actual proof. Well, the best part about this PC is that it's not completely comprised of used parts. It's a good mix of used and new. The CPU we're going with today is going to be the i5-12400, which is a really good CPU for budget builds, maximizing price to performance. The storage is going to be a crucial P2 NVMe of 500GB and 32GB of Vengeance Pro RGB. The motherboard is probably the weakest link in this PC, as it's an MSI Pro H610ME. This board is really budget baller, and it's enough for whatever we need. It's got more than enough ports of everything that we want. Along with that, the box comes with the I/O shield, of course, the M.2 screws and SATA cables. The case we've got today is the Cougar Duo Face RGB and 650 watt deep cool power supply, along with the Thermaltake Flow Ring 240, which I got a banger deal on from Amazon Warehouse. The case and the M.2 was also off of Amazon Warehouse, once again minimizing costs. The fans and the AIO pump connect to the RGB controller through USB, and that USB also goes into the motherboard. When getting this, I had to make sure the motherboard had extra USB connections. The pump comes with thermal paste and a plastic cover to avoid smudges. Besides that, the top of the pump has RGB connection. Now let's install this AIO into the case. This case has a really convenient feature of the glass panel coming off, which actually can be replaced by a metallic panel, and the dust cover slides off, exposing the whole thing. The tempered glass panel fixes on with magnets, which is a really convenient feature. It came pre-installed with 3 ARGB fans and an RGB controller in the back. This case has really nice Velcro straps built in, along with the wires pre-managed, like the USB ports and the front I/O cables. The fans were already connected onto the RGB header, so anyone using this case can just connect it onto their motherboard and they're all good to go. It can also be operated using the reset switch. Here's just a quick run through of me screwing it all in. After installing the radiator, let's move on to the fans that came along with the AIO. These were just simple 4 screws per fan that I sped up majorly. Check out the video on the top right corner to see how to install an AIO properly. Now this is the look inside the case. Let's put on the dust cover and the glass panel back. And now that we're done with the case prep, let's get on to the meat and bones. It's time to start assembling our PC. Starting off, the CPU goes into the motherboard. It's a simple but delicate process. You have to be really careful lifting up the pin, pulling the thing back. Make sure to be very gentle with your CPU and the pins on the motherboard, and shake it vigorously whenever you can. Anyways, let's move on. I completely forgot to take the plastic bit off, but let's do it now. Pulling the safety lever down, and now our CPU is completely locked in. Here we go with our M.2 first, screwing in our standoff, and then make sure to angle your SSD and just shove it in. Push it down and screw it in. It's a very simple and delicate process. Then our RAM. Then it's time to lower the motherboard down into the case, line up our standoffs, and then push it up against the I/O shield. After that, we have to make sure all the standoffs are in place and screw them in. It's generally a rule of thumb to screw everything in, because why would you want to leave screws unnecessarily? Now it's time to wire this build up all nice and ugly. The hardest wire for me is the CPU, especially with the whole tower cooler installed. This is what our PC looks like. I also threw in some cable extensions that I got off of Amazon. Now you must be wondering, I didn't mention our GPU. Well, I have to keep a bit of suspense for that. It is the star of the show after all. And once again, Noor Alaman Computers sweeping in with the best deals in the universe. With this amazing 3-fan Asus Stuff 3060 Ti OC edition. Make sure not to miss out the killer deals they put away on their Instagram, and giveaways coming soon. I'm not even paid to say any of this. I just love discounts and having good budgets. Now it's time to pull out this absolute beast. And as always, it's really nicely packed up and in an anti-static bag. The 3060 Ti is actually a perfect card for 1440p gaming, but today's testing and benchmarking will all be in 1080p. Well, time for the moment of truth, and here comes the card. Wow, just look at how amazing this card looks. This has a few points of RGB, which can be controlled via the app, and has a 1 8-pin connector. Along with that, as you can see, it still has the plastic on it for the buyer to remove. Now let's slot this GPU in. I think it might be really tight. I don't think this is going to fit. Wait, let me just try to snug it in. And why didn't I see this coming? Let's see how I can patch this situation up. And the best part being, Noor Aliman sweeps in once more to save the day. I would be in a big loss if they didn't. Time to unspin the fans and pack it all up. Luckily, since I'm going to a 2-fan card, the budget is even more free now. So, sucks on you guys that you could never ever dream to replicate this build. I have checked all across YouTube and tried to find these specs, but I couldn't because no one's as good as me. It's time to pull out the EVGA 3060. And this one is packaged even better. It's an anti-static and in bubble wrap. So, we have it sorted out. Thanks to Noor Aliman. Once again, please follow them on Instagram. Now, of course, we have to get the fan spinning. And let's get this card slotted in. Well, I wired 2 PCIe connections up as I thought the 3060 would have 2 ports. But I'll just take it out in a bit. Now, after plugging this in, let's head on to our first boot and hope it works. And let's go. Everything lights up perfectly and looks really nice. Now we plug in our boot drive and get installed into Windows. But first we turn XMP on to get the maximized speeds on our RAM. After getting Windows installed, we head straight into benchmarks, kicking it off with Fortnite or performance mode with all settings on high and view distance on epic. As you can see, we're getting some impressive frames, with it being capped on 160 FPS, and it's doing really good to stay on that cap. Unfortunately, the game wasn't a win, but this gaming PC definitely is. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below what your dream build would be on an unlimited budget. Even while in action, there were absolutely no FPS drops, and I backshotted this man. Next up, let's head on to Cyberpunk 2077. With high settings, ray tracing, and of course we have DLSS enabled as this is an RTX card. For maximum FPS ranges, you were averaging 119 FPS and maxed out at 148. Here are the results. And now breezing past Hogwarts Legacy on high settings capped at 144 FPS, where we average around 138 FPS. And just look at the beautiful visuals of the Wizarding World. It's absolutely stunning to look at. This 3060 had some great temperatures on it, along with good cooling throughout the whole case. Next up, we head on to my favorite game. Unfortunately, I completely lost my save file on this game, which had a few years of work into it. Epic Games had it stored on their servers and they just tanked my save file. Well, on this game, we stayed around the 180 FPS range, which is definitely enough and more than you could ask for on epic settings. Well, I was done with these guys, so I just blickied them. It looked like a good decision to make. Just check out how far that man flew. Anyways, let's move on to benchmarking of Red Dead Redemption 2, which I only started a couple of months ago and I'm absolutely loving this game. Which did great on high settings, averaging around 147 FPS and then maxing out at 187 FPS. If you like this video, please make sure to like, comment and subscribe. And say hi to my cat as he wants to talk to you guys. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to check out other videos on the channel.